Shabbat Shalom. It is so good to see all of you and those who are joining us via live stream as well. Come on in, have a seat. We're going to begin on page 10 with Hine Matov, how good and how pleasant it is to all be here together this Shabbat evening.
Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
As I look out on all your faces, those whom I have come to know over the past 10 or so months, those I'm still getting to know, I am just filled with a deep sense of gratitude for being able to be here and to share in this moment with this incredible community. And a verse from Psalms comes to mind. Zeh hayom asa Adonai. Today is a day that God has made. So thank you all for bringing holiness and divinity into the Shabbat with us as we celebrate the next step in our temple's future. And to honor all of their work in creating that next step, I'd like to call up our rabbinic search committee from way back when, just a little over a year ago, to light our Shabbat candles. We can join them on pages 2 and 3.
Who has it? Well, like, you're the only one with purple. The first paragraph? As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us, as the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Search Committee. We're going to continue by reading together on page 8. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We continue welcoming Shabbat with Lecha Dodi on page 20. La 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 Lecha Dodi.
La 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 la
Likrat kala. Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikah. La 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 Lecha Dodi. Ya la 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 Likrat kala. Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikah.
Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmi'anu el hamyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad l'shemo tiferet v'litchila Yalalai, yalalai, lecha dodi. Yalalai, likrat kala. Yalalai, pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikabela.
Likrat Shabbat. Lechu v'nelcha. Ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshava techila Yalalai, yalalai, lecha dodi. Yalalai, likrat kala. Yalalai, pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikala. Hitoreri. Kiva orech kumi uri. Shir daberi kevod Adonai alayich nigla Yalalai yalalai lecha dodi Yalalai likrat kala Yalalai
Pnei Shabbat.
We rise in body or spirit and face the door to greet Shabbat.
Bori shalom, ateret balam, gam b'simcha uv'tzohalam, toch emunei amsekulam, bori chalam.
Yalalai, lecha dodi. Yalalai, likrat kala. Yalalai, pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Please be seated. Our sacred text tells us that on Shabbat evening, 2 angels accompany a person home. One angel represents positive forces, and one angel represents negative forces. When the person arrives home and finds the candles lit, the table set, and the house in proper order, in other words, a house prepared for Shabbat, then the positive angel says, "May it be so for another Shabbat." The negative angel must affirm this and say, "Amen." If, however, the house is not ready for Shabbat, the negative angel says, "May it be so for another Shabbat." The positive angel must affirm this and say, "Amen." As we sing Shalom Aleichem, welcoming angels into our Shabbat celebration, we pray that our sacred home, the temple, always be peaceful and beautiful on this evening and on all the Shabbats to come. Page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei, Malachei Elyon, Ni Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Ni Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 29. We read together, "There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech, let us bless." We rise in body or spirit for Baruch Hu on page 28.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Middle of page 31. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Together, this is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim, page 32.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah
u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta,
Otanu limadeta.
al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu,
ובקומנו נעשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים,
Please be seated. We read together on page 37. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. And as we went out of Egypt, we sang our people's song of freedom and redemption, Mi Chamocha, on page 40.
Malechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'amru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai lai.
Page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Together, Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 45.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity honors a day, and eternity honors a day. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai.
46.
Adonai, Shvatai, Shvatai tiftach, ufi
yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, Shvatai, Shvatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanoram, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo B'Ahavam, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Yezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'agivurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hako, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'cho yom yahalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Page 57, we read together. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, sha'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. We continue with a moment of our own personal prayers.
Yehiyu leratzon imrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri Vegoali Yehiyu leratzon imrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri Vegoali Vegoali
Even on this celebratory Shabbat evening, when we're here together in joy, we of course take a moment to think about those in our lives and in our world who are in need of healing. Page 253. Before we begin the prayer, we first call to mind those in our own lives who are in need of healing. Tonight, our congregation is praying for Heather Andrews, Carol Babcock, Marilyn Burgay, Howard Sherwin, Pauline Sherwin, Harold Cohen, Carmen Del Vecchio, Ann DePaul, Susan Derby, Helene Edwards, Sarah Fabian, Arthur Feldman, Beverly Fruit, Rabbi Bob Goodman, Jesse Halpern, Mary Hartman, Beverly Henderson, Carolyn Cantor, Barry Kaufman, Robert Kay, Kimberly Janis, Andrea Mitchell, Barry Newman, David Osofsky, Laura Osofsky, Bert Peters, Buddy Pollock, Jean Posen, Sean Quinlan, Ron Rappaport, Randall Rout, Sandra Resnikoff, Devorah Bat-Rachel, Paulette Schmelzer, Saul Schmelzer, Adele Shamban, Judy Shea, Ruthie Silver, Tammy Smithy, Nicholas Sobek, Brady Spector, Judy Van Gorder, Marcia Sarah Badbela Vayitaka, Leslie Wolfson, Todd Zetlin. Of course, we send healing prayers to Canterbury as well as she recovers from COVID, as well as those in our community who have contracted COVID and those around our world in need of healing. If there's anyone who'd like to share some names with us, please do so as I look around the room. David.
Charles Stellan, Dot McKinney, John Mitchell, Ida Haywood, Fred and Dorothy Weiss, Sam Zucker, Susan Popiol, Fran Young, Larry Reed, Mary Lou Boyer, Ray Halpern.
Thanks, baby.
Alan Silverberg, Rabbi Matheson.
Sheila.
Alan Tucker,
For those names we said aloud, for those in our hearts, for those we do not know, we join together in our prayer for healing, Misha Berach.
Before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe berach imotenu, mikor bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We're now going to begin with our ritual of installation. So if you have the booklet you picked up in the back with the blue cover, and if you don't have, we have Ed coming down the aisle in case someone needs one. And once you have your blue booklet, I invite us all to rise in body or spirit as we open the ark.
Moses received the Torah at Mount Sinai. He transmitted it to Joshua. Joshua in turn passed it to the elders, and the elders to the prophets. Rabbi Maya Glasser. This chain of tradition links Sinai to this very moment and continues now as it has in every generation as we place this Torah scroll in your arms. It is written in the book of Joshua that God spoke to the prophet as he was about to assume leadership of the people. We repeat these words now to Rabbi Glasser with the prayer that God will be with her in every task. Let not this book of Torah cease from your lips, but recite it day and night, so that you may observe faithfully all that is written in it. Only then will you prosper in your undertakings, and only then will you be successful. We charge you, chazak ve'ematz, be strong and resolute. Proceed with courage and confidence, for Adonai, your God, is with you wherever you go.
Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, guide me as I strive to teach, to encourage, and to inspire. Guide me on your path of righteousness and truth. Guide me in ways of compassion, empathy, and wisdom as I embrace the people of this holy community.
Torah, Torah, Tadin, Tadin. Let her teach and let her judge. In the spirit of our heritage, teach them. Help us to learn mitzvot, that holiness might become our way of life. In this sacred place, on Shabbat, on festivals, on holy days. In the classroom, where learners of all ages study our ancient texts. At the bedside of the sick, alongside the troubled, in our joys and sorrows. Just by the way you lead your life. In the spirit of our heritage, judge for them between the sacred and the profane, between the noble and the degraded, between the just and the unjust. Let your inner and outer life be one. All that she is and all that she may yet be, she owes to the creative power you have implanted within her. Above all, fill her with the knowledge that by linking hands with all of us, she will rise above her own self and lead us to success and greatness. As your rabbi assumes the mantle of leadership, we ask for her the following. Keep her from imagining hurts, from seeing foes where there are only friends, and give her insight into her own heart, that she might uproot all that will weaken her. Help her to be patient when others misunderstand her, open to the thoughts of those who are near to her, and quick to forgive all who hurt her. Help her to walk with integrity, to face the world with an open and trusting mind. Let her not judge others in arrogant haste, nor follow them when it compromises her principles.
Eloheinu ve'Elohe avotenu ve'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, be with me on the sacred journey of leading and growing alongside our beloved temple. Plant wisdom within my heart and help me to be gentle and strong, courageous and patient. As I enter into this holy partnership, may my steps be firm and my heart steadfast to the mission of our people.
Zak Chazak V'Nitchazek. Dear God, divine spirit of the universe, help us to be strong and resolute, that we may strengthen one another.
Praised are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has brought us into life, sustained us, and enabled us to experience a sacred and joyous moment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu b'zman hazeh.
Please be seated. It is, of course, my absolute honor that my rabbi, since age 7 or so, is here to celebrate with us this evening and to have formally installed me as your rabbi. And he will now speak from my pulpit in a fun role reversal from when I was growing up. Go ahead, Rabbi.
That's hysterical. Wait, if you were 7, how old does that make me? Oh my God. I simply cannot tell you how happy I am to be here with you tonight, not just because I took my first plane ride in 3 years today, but because this little girl is not such a little girl anymore. But I've known her since she was a little girl and have watched, and I'll say a few words about this in a minute, but watched her from that time on grow into, really into your rabbi, preparing all of those years to come here to the temple in Jacksonville, Florida, to become your partner in creating Jewish life together. I'm just so fortunate to be able to be here and grateful to be here with you. I am, of course, I want to say thank you to the leadership of the temple and to Miriam Greenhut, your temple president, for clearing the way to spend that money so that I could get on that first airplane and come down here and be here. I hope it's worth it. It's certainly worth it to me. Also, Karen Barry, if you're on screen somewhere, We're praying for your recovery and are missing you here. Would be really nice to have you directly in this celebration, but we feel your presence. And my wife, who's Cantor Ellen Dreskin, said that I should be sure to say hello to you. So, hello. I met Maya, as she said, when she was a very little girl, and I was a very young rabbi. You could say that we grew up together. Even then, one could tell that she is a very special human being. She has always been smart, curious, spirited, and exceedingly kind. She was the kind of congregant kid every rabbi cherishes because she made me feel special, always watching, always listening, fully present, always interested. Because of Maya's musical abilities, the cantor and I had a friendly rivalry through the years, vying for her to choose the clergy path that each of us had been badgering her to follow. Needless to say, when Maya chose the rabbinate, I never missed an opportunity to lord that over my cantor. Rabbi Glasser continues to love music, as you know, and will always have that to share with you as an added bonus in her rabbinic portfolio. I too brought a deep love for music to my rabbinate. In fact, Maya was one of my singers for a service we called A Joyful Noise, which was held bi-monthly at our synagogue, Woodlands Community Temple near White Plains, New York. And even after she left home for college, Maya still came back to sing with us. So that's just more evidence of what Rabbi Maya Glasser and I have shared as parts of our Jewish journeys, much more so than most temple kids do with their rabbis. Besides being a beloved student from her earliest years right on through 12th grade graduation, Maya helped out with services, sometimes even leading them and giving the occasional sermon. Add to that the life cycle events that we shared, plus just bumping into each other and chatting at temple events, and you understand my bona fides for being here with you this evening. With Maya just starting her journey here with you at the temple, and me having recently retired from mine just this past July, I thought that in kind of doing a Star is Born thing here, I thought that in reflecting on my rabbinic career, there might be hints as to the possible trajectory of Rabbi Glasser's. Here are 5 snapshots from my years at Woodlands, from which I will draw a message that I hope will prove instructive as you begin Maya's time with you here in Jacksonville. Snapshot number 1 begins in February 1995. Were you born yet? Okay. That's right, you're about 5. When I was associate rabbi, not at Woodlands, but at Fairmont Temple in Cleveland, and I was interviewing for the position at Woodlands. I came home from work one evening, and Ellen, my wife, asked, "Do you have any idea how famous you are?" An odd question, but I took the bait. "No, how famous am I?" "You were on TV tonight." Well, that was unexpected. "Are they broadcasting my best sermons?" She stifled a laugh. She'd heard my best sermons. "Not a chance. You were on Friends tonight." Okay, that was less peculiar than you might think. Friends had been created by dear friends of ours from college, Marta Kaufman and David Crane. If you were familiar with the story of their lives, you might recognize the name of a doctor being paged on the hospital intercom system, or you might take notice hearing the name of the guy that Monica, pretending to be Rachel while furious at Rachel, told Rachel's father that she'd slept with on Rachel's parents' bed. His name, Billy Dreskin. 6 seconds of fame. Friends was huge, and I wondered what impact this episode would have on the Woodlands interview committee. Search committee, are you processing this? If they were anything like my mother-in-law, who was very disappointed in Marta and David for portraying her son-in-law, the rabbi, like that, I could expect to spend a few more years in Cleveland. But as it turns out, they had a healthy sense of humor, and possibly hoping that I could coax the cast to stop by for a visit, they let me have the job. The message here, I think, is that life is real. It's happening now, and we don't always get to choose what it throws our way. Throughout my years at Woodlands, I was fortunate to be with people who appreciated life's blessings and found pleasure and meaning in the curveballs that life throws our way. The people in these pews are human, living life with the tools that we've each been given. The rabbi on this bima is here to help all of us find that pleasure and that meaning when we might be looking or thinking or feeling in another direction. We're actually partners in doing this together. So just as you will learn from your new rabbi, she will learn from you. Just as you look for Maya's support and understanding through life's vicissitudes, she hopes that you will do the same for her. After all, we live with you. We're neighbors, and we, meaning your clergy, benefit enormously from your love and care. Try to give her as much as she gives to you. Snapshot number 2 is of Superstorm Sandy, which hit the eastern seaboard in late October 2012. I don't know how Jacksonville fared. I actually tried to find some news articles, and I couldn't find any. It passed you by or something? I don't know. But at any rate, it didn't pass Woodlands by. Sandy caused a lot of damage in our area, and Woodlands became a gathering point for folks who needed shelter or just a place to cook a meal or to charge their phones. We'd moved our Torah scrolls out of the sanctuary because the sanctuary is made mostly of glass doors and glass windows. At our first Shabbat service back after Sandy, imagine everyone's surprise when we opened the Ark for Aleinu only to discover that we'd forgotten to return the scrolls. The rabbis, of which I was only one, immediately spun the moment as an opportunity to acknowledge the week we'd all just been through and how a momentarily empty ark was the smallest price to pay, considering the damages and injuries that had been endured elsewhere. And don't we all live for moments like opening the ark and seeing it empty? When the world goes a little bit topsy-turvy, and as soon as we understand that only harmless surprise has taken center stage, we can share a mighty good laugh. What did not happen was an investigation to learn who was responsible for the error. Because at Woodlands, we labored to create not a culture of blame, where the objective is to determine responsibility and hang someone out to dry, but instead to create what we called a culture of honor. We always encouraged one another to identify what went right, to celebrate our successes to the fullest, taking note, but never harping on where we could do better next time. A culture of honor. I encourage you to embrace that. You too will make mistakes. She'll make mistakes. But each time one occurs, you can be sure that the intentions were pure. So look for what's gone right and offer thanks. You can never say thank you enough to everyone who helped make that happen. Be honest about what can be improved, but don't obsess over it. You'll get another chance to get it right. Snapshot number 3 is of a guy at Woodlands whose name was Dale Glasser. Oh, that's your rabbi's father. And I think his name is still Dale Glasser. Dale was one of our volunteers. He worked with us to create a leadership development program that we called Derech, the Path. The idea was to invite folks who seemed to have fallen in love with the temple and to teach them how it works, its leadership structure, its financial structure, and most importantly, the values that drive everything. On each handout that Dale would prepare for the group, he made sure to include the following passage from the Talmud. It is not the place that brings honor to the person, but rather it is the person who brings honor to the place. Synagogues are not buildings. Synagogues are people, and people are our greatest treasure. You need to take care of all of them, from new members to old members, from custodians to office staff, from religious school faculty to clergy, from committee members to committee chairs, all of them. Temples need volunteers. And if any of those volunteers don't feel good about being here, why in the world would they stick around? It's so important to love your volunteers and your leadership and your professional staff. They are the spiritual engine that builds your synagogue each and every day. It is not the place that brings honor to the person, but the person who brings honor to the place. The work that you do here at the temple is sacred, celebrating life's greatest moments, holding on to one another through its worst. You teach your children how to live with principle, and you reinforce those teachings to every member across the entire lifespan. Because Jewish living asks us to be good to ourselves, to our family, to our neighbors, to the global community, its practitioners do indeed bring honor to the place. You and Rabbi Glasser are now partners in striving to bring about as much of that honor as you can. That is the definition of Kedusha, of living a holy life. Snapshot number 4. In 2009, my son Jonah died while he was away for his freshman year of college. That was devastating for me and my family. To this day, I remember only fragments of the swirl of activity around us as we eulogized him, buried him, and moved through Shiva. What I know for certain is that my congregation held us in its arms while we traveled through this bleakest of landscapes. Because of their love, because of their understanding and their patience, I was able to grieve, to regain my strength, and to return to caring for them all, because they had cared for me. This is the saddest thing that your rabbi and I have in common. We each have lost someone we love and have had to engage in the grueling, sometimes seemingly hopeless task of coming back to life. It turns out that in most cases it can be done, even if we don't know it at the time. We learn to integrate a loved one's memory into that place in our heart where we still cherish them, but with an affection transformed into a spiritual love. Profoundly different, to be sure, but every bit as precious to us as when they were physically with us. Most of the time, Maya's going to take care of you. She's strong, she's kind, and she'll do everything she can to help you move through your own life's challenges. But there will be moments when you will need to take care of her. Even now, as she continues learning how to integrate her beloved Jake's memory into that loving place in her own heart, you probably won't need to do a lot for her, but keep your eyes and your hearts open. Make sure she's okay, that she's got what she needs to be able to make this journey, and that she knows that you have her back. She'll be fine. The kindnesses you tender upon her through this time will also be the soil in which your relationships will blossom. It's fertile soil. And as I experienced at Woodlands, she'll never forget the kindnesses that are tendered to her in her difficult moments, just as you will never forget those that she tenders to you. In snapshot number 5, June 2021. Woodlands says goodbye to the old rabbi. These were both sad and exhilarating. Of course it was difficult to leave my temple families after 26 years, but it was wonderful to hear from them the thank yous from the people with whom I had shared those 26 years. I learned one final lesson from those farewells. Don't wait to offer your thanks. A good sermon, tell her thank you. An inspiring class, tell her thank you. A beautiful song, tell her thank you. Remember what I said earlier. You can't thank people enough, and she'll always appreciate it. You may think that Maya knows she's good, and she is, and that she knows how you feel about her, and she usually does. Tell her anyway. It will never be taken for granted, and it will sustain her heart and her spirit through all the years that you have her with you. Okay, one more thing. Maya's been hearing me tell stories since she was 7 years old. So I have to share one story before I go. It concerns the Maggid of Duvno, the great storyteller of Duvno. He was a famous rabbi who lived in 18th century Lithuania. The Maggid often traveled from one town to another delivering scholarly sermons and was always received with the greatest honors. His driver, in Yiddish, a balagala, was very much impressed by all that he saw. One day the balagala asked the Maggid, "I'm only an ignorant driver, but I would just love to know how it feels to receive all of that adulation. I've traveled with you so often, Rabbi. I've noticed that people ask you the same questions over and over, and I'm certain that I could give them the same words that they hear from you." So the Maggid agreed to switch places in the next town, but asked with concern, "What will you do if they pose a question you haven't heard me teach?" To which the balagala replied, "Don't you worry, Rabbi." They enter the next town, and the inhabitants greet their teacher, accompanying him to the synagogue, while his driver, the real Maggid, follows at a distance. "Oh, great Rabbi," someone asks, "would you please explain this passage in Torah whose meaning eludes us?" And wouldn't you know it, right out of the gate, a question the driver had never heard the Maggid teach. Now he's sunk, thought the Maggid. But with the Chumash before him, not one word of it could he understand. The driver responds, "A fine lot of scholars you are. Is this the most difficult question you can come up with for me? Why, this passage is so simple, even my balagala could teach it to you." At which point he motions to the great Maggid of Duvno to come forward. "Driver, teach some Torah to these fools." Well, Rabbi Maya Glasser is no balagala. She has studied, she has learned, and she is ready to be your spiritual leader, to be your rabbi. Enjoy that great privilege. You have given yourselves a considerable gift in bringing her to your community. And as she tends to your minds and spirits, she will remain a perpetual learning machine, always looking for more answers, always open to new ideas and new possibilities. And that part of her journey just might be the best that is yet and will always be yet to come. Maya says I told her that I don't remember the time I asked her in second grade to think about becoming a rabbi. The truth is, from the very moment that I met her, I saw this very special spark in her. And through all of her years of growing up in our temple, I watched her and I watched over her, looking for opportunities that might deepen her love of Judaism and maybe cement the deal to send her off to rabbinical school. I wanted her Jewish experience to be a great one, so that she would want to create great Jewish experiences for others. And look, it worked. Enjoy each other. Your lives will all be the better for it. Shabbat Shalom.
I was going to say it's kind of unfair to speak after Rabbi Billy, but I made the order, so that's on me. But I have told many people in this community that once you meet him and hear him speak, a lot becomes clear about me and my own rabbinate. So I think you heard that to be true this evening, and I owe a lot of my professional journey and parts of my personal one to my rabbi. So more thanks to come. Zeh hayom asa Adonai. Today is a day that God has made. A sacred day, a powerful day, an important day, a day beyond words. When I was 15 years old, I'm going to give a shout out to Cantor, my cantor invited me to lead a Rosh Hashanah service. I spent hours practicing and just as much time fretting over my capability to complete such a sacred task. I vividly remember chanting the call to prayer, the Baruch Hu, as the service began, and experiencing my anxiety melt away and feeling connected in an indescribable way to those in the seats in front of me and to something much greater than myself. It was a spiritual experience. It was the first moment I really realized that maybe I wanted to spend my life searching for more spiritual experiences and supporting others in doing the same. Those chances for deep connection and spiritual experience are everywhere. In the classroom, at the bedside, even during a post-services conversation over a cookie. I'm honored to be joining a community that is not only open to finding holiness, but is also searching along with me for those meaningful spiritual experiences. Zeh hayom asa Adonai. Today is a day that God has made. A day that God has made because we are present, celebrating Shabbat and honoring our community's past while looking towards our future. When I applied to serve as your rabbi, I included the following few sentences in my personal vision statement essay. My goal as a rabbi is, as our sages say, to make the old new and the new holy by demonstrating that there is much relevant richness in our religion. I want to empower anyone who is seeking meaning to find it in tradition and to see themselves as part of a sacred community that spans from generation to generation. Any day that we, as Jewish people in 2022, can see our modern selves as part of a long-lasting people, any day that we are empowered to find relevant richness in our religion, any day that we live by our Jewish values is a day that God has made. Zeh hayom asa Adonai. Today is a day that God has made. A day that God has made because we can experience God even in dark and painful places. Not every day can be beautiful and powerful and important. Finding holiness is often difficult. Our beloved temple is emerging from a tumultuous recent past. As I've been meeting with and learning about you, I hear the pain of that past. I want to meet you in that pain, to listen, and then together move forward. A sacred community should be one that lifts us up and cares for us. With patience and determination, with everyone's willingness to share their own unique gifts, our temple will achieve that goal. We can't be perfect, but we will get better. I was so humbled when you met me in my pain after Jake died last September. I had been your rabbi for just 2.5 months, but felt like I had been here for decades, as you showed me that care that Rabbi Dreskin just talked about. You welcomed me back, sent me lots of food, and were here for me. You helped me find holiness and divinity in a dark place. In Jake's brief time here, he also recognized how special our community is, and he was so excited to be a part of it. Zeh hayom asa Adonai. Today is a day that God has made. A day that God has made because God made each of us. My favorite Jewish concept is that we are all created in God's image. That means a spark of divinity resides in each person. We can find that divinity when we spend our time striving to make our community and our world a better place, from volunteering for a dinner to reaching out to someone, to navigating a tough conversation or accomplishing a shared goal. Potential for holiness is everywhere. I have found divinity through interactions with the many holy people in this community. Thank you to Isabel Ballatin, Miriam Greenhut, and the Rabbinic Search Committee for putting your faith and trust in me. I remain humble and grateful that I was chosen for this sacred task. Thank you to those who work hard every day to help our temple run. Rachel Alford, Ellen Burson, Lynn Bush, Edwina Harris, Harley Gordon, and Kenny Marr. I greatly appreciate your ongoing support and dedication. Thank you to our staff leadership team, Cantor Carrie Barry, Gonen Arad, and Autumn Sheridan. We have accomplished much to move our community forward. Autumn and Gonen, I learned a lot from you, and I wish you all the best. Cantor, we collaborate so naturally and have tons of fun together. I'm looking forward to all that's to come. Thank you to those in our community who have become friends outside of Temple for getting me out of the house and feeding me and being there for me throughout my professional and personal transitions. Thank you to our officers, our board of trustees, and past presidents for welcoming me, teaching me, and sharing your stories with me. I am grateful for all of the time and energy that you devote to Temple and for your incredible support. Thank you to President Miriam Greenhut. I have no words for what our sacred partnership means to me. Your hard work and devotion are an inspiration. I so enjoy our deep conversations and being a part of the world according to Miriam. If you've ever met with Miriam, you've heard her say that. To my family and friends who are here to share in the weekend, Frankie, Mark, and Joanne, as beloved New Jersey former congregants, you've been there for me since day one of my rabbinate. 2 of you even were on my previous search committee. I am honored that you traveled here to celebrate with me. Lily, Molly, and Tommy, Jake's cousins who have become my cousins, I'm very grateful for our connection. Jake would have been absolutely thrilled this evening, and it's really special to have you here representing him. Rob and Sarah, my dearest friends, the best travel buddies, and consistent sources of wisdom, humor, and love. I treasure my relationship with each of you and with Jake T. You are indescribable blessings to me. Rabbi Billy, I am overjoyed that after years as my role model, teacher, and guide, you are here for this special Shabbat. Thank you for seeing my potential and capability and helping me see them too. Finally, to my parents, you have loved me unconditionally since the day I was born, always showing up for me and doing your absolute best to guide me. You are a fundamental part of who I am and who I am becoming. Thank you just isn't enough. Zeh hayom asa Adonai. Today is a day that God has made. A sacred day, a powerful day, an important day, a day beyond words. A day that reminds us of the power of community, the power of living out an ancient tradition in the modern world, the power of sacred moments, the power of collaboration, of shared visions and dreams. Every day is a day that God has made when we spend them learning, gathering, praying, engaging in acts of loving kindness. Every day filled with hope is a day that God has made. You can follow along on the last page of your booklet. We are gifts, and we are blessings. We are His story in song. We are hope, and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words, and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Lidor vador nagid God lecha. Lidor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Lidor vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way. And the words that bring us meaning, we will have
the strength to say, L'dor vador nagid God lecha, L'dor vador we protect this chain, from generation to generation. L'dor vador, these lips will praise your name. L'dor vador nagid God lecha, L'dor vador we protect this chain, from generation to generation. L'dor vador, these lips will praise your name.
We'll now continue with our service back in your blue prayer book. As we turn to the middle of page 282 and rise in body or spirit for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, l'ateit gdula liyotzeh breshit, shelo asan gdoyei haratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot b'adamam, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol ha'amanam, va'anachnu kore'im, u'mishtachavim u'madim, lifnei melech malachei ha'malachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'nehar le'haya Adonai, v'melech al kol ha'aretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Please be seated.
Page 293. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We are in a period of Shiva for Arthur Eisenberg and Shaloshim for Sam Buckholtz Jr., Marilyn Friedman, Evelyn Kennett, and Sylvia Wolf. We observe yardsites this week for William Ash, Rose Avchin, Helen Benjamin, Betty Berger, Bernard R. Bockel, Paul Buckholtz, Arthur Borden, Ruth S. Carlin, Frida Chauser, Lem Charon, Archibald Cohen, Sidney Dickstein, Alberta J. Elterman, Benjamin Fink, Marguerite Goldstein, Robert J. Hare, Lawrence Ira Horowitz, Frank S. Eisenberg, Leah Jacobs, Ann Krakow, Harold Lewis, Jacob Mermelstein, Earl Moss, Nathan A. Moss, Jane S. Myers, Jeanette Olschwanger, Audrey Oppenheimer, Lenore Rosen, Murray Rosenblum, Irvin B. Rothstein, David Rothstein, Charlotte Bernard Setzer, James Edward Simmons, William Stark, and Dr. Albert H. Wilkinson, Sr. If you'd like to add a name to our yard site list, you can rise and say that name now. We turn to page 294 and rise together in body or spirit and join in Kiddusha Tome, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah b'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamnich malchuteh b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei amaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiram bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Please be seated as we invite up Miriam Greenhut, our temple president.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm Miriam Greenhut, and on behalf of our Board of Trustees, we welcome you to Congregation Ahavat Chesed. Before I begin the announcements, I would like to call up Stacy Fortune on behalf of the congregation and our auxiliary organizations, Sisterhood, Brotherhood, and Temple 20s and 30s. Actually, Rabbi Glasser, if you could join us too.
It's with great honor on behalf of both Brotherhood, Sisterhood, T3, and the congregation as whole that I get to bestow upon you these gifts. There's a theme of love and oversight. Within these gifts are helps us, hands of protection. As you watch over us and you protect us, we want to do the same back to you and envelop you within our love, because you're more than just a rabbi, you're a family to us. So may these gifts be a reminder of that promise and our connection of love and family moving forward. Just as you're there for us in all our joys and sorrows, may we be there for you. Thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you, Stacy. Rabbi Dreskin, we are so honored to have you with us tonight. You are truly a gift, and we thank you for honoring Rabbi Glasser and our congregation by celebrating with us. We look forward to learning with you more tomorrow. Also, everyone, please join me in welcoming Rabbi Glasser's family and friends who are here tonight to celebrate with her. Welcome to Jacksonville. Welcome to Ahavat Chesed. We are so pleased to have you join our sacred community. And I just have to share that I had the best seat in the house because I could watch Rabbi Glasser's parents, Dale and Ellie, during the installation ceremony, and the joy and pride and love is so evident and rolling off of them in waves, and it really touched me to be able to share that with you. Thank you to everyone who is here in person and online tonight to celebrate this milestone for our congregation. Rabbi Glasser's installation marks a new chapter for our congregation, and I hope that you are as optimistic and grateful for this opportunity as I am. And to you, Rabbi Glasser, please know that it is my honor and privilege to move forward in sacred partnership with you. And to you, we say thank you for joining us on this journey. This installation is an important step forward for our congregation. In the coming weeks, months, and years, we will build on this momentum. Each step forward will share this common element. We will build together as a community, and we will be the better for having Rabbi Glasser at the helm as we envision our future. So mazel tov to Rabbi Glasser, mazel tov to us. And now for the actual announcements. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, Rabbi Dreskin will lead Torah study in the chapel, followed by Shabbat morning services at 10:30, led by Rabbi Glasser, Rabbi Dreskin, and Michael Kor. Breakfast will be provided outside of the chapel after Torah study. And just a reminder, since we will be worshiping in the chapel tomorrow morning, please park around the side by the chapel side door and enter that way. Tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., we will continue our celebration with our Broadway dinner and cabaret show honoring Rabbi Glasser and her New York roots. We are so grateful for all who have reserved their seats for this fabulous event, and we look forward to celebrating with you again there. On Tuesday morning at 10:30, we will have Wisdom Group led by Cecilia Crystal, who will lead a discussion about living abroad. Our Oneg tonight is sponsored by the Temple Sisterhood, and we thank Sisterhood for their ever-gracious hospitality. Oneg will be in the Coleman Room, which you can find by turning left out of the sanctuary, and I think that there will be tables on the back patio for those who prefer to eat outside. Ed says yes. Excellent. And one more thing that I just want to mention, as those of you know, we had some pivoting to do this week because Canterbury wasn't able to join us. So I just want to make sure that we also extend a big, hearty thank you to Michael Kor for stepping in and helping to make and for partnering with Rabbi Glasser on this really wonderful occasion. And I know that we will all want to speak with Rabbi Glasser when services are over and wish her well. We're going to ask that if you can wait until we get to the Oneg, it will help her get there faster. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Thanks, Miriam. We'll continue with Kiddush and Motzi, which you can find on page 5. I would like to invite up my parents, Dale and Ellie, and my dear friends, Sarah, Rob, and Jake, to lead us.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho mi'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techilam lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher letziyat mitzrayim, kivanu v'chatam v'otanu mikol ha'amim V'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon hinchatanu. Baruch ata Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
And please join us in Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Our closing song tonight is Oseh Shalom, which you can find at the bottom of page 343.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael.
Oseh
Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. My honor.